Good morning. Well, we have heard the old adage, safety saves. And yet, more often than not, we do not care. While driving down, we don't care to observe the rules. And apart from the mechanical issues, the personal issues predominate. Well, that is one part. The other is that when the rules are changed, which not only ensure that the safety is not there, but are in fact indirect inducement to be unsafe. Recently we heard the news of a very prominent politician, one of the better types of politician, Jim Prentice, died in an air crash. And now the follow-up shows that his airplane, the plane in which he was traveling, had not been inspected since 2012. The FAA rules in USA and ICAO rules internationally always say that every airplane be inspected after a predetermined number of miles flown. And this rule is often observed and not being observed and not being carried out. But just imagine my astonishment and a bit of sadness when I learned that 2 days after the death of this minister, this former politician, the former premier, the federal aviation system changed its rules of inspection. Earlier the rules were in consonance with ICAO rules, and now they have said that the inspections would not be done according to them. They would not be done at regular intervals, but they would be done on the risk assessment. If the risk is high, then the inspection would be done, otherwise it would not be done. Now the point is, how do you assess the risk? The normal rule was that after you have flown a certain number of miles, the system or the metal fatigue or the machine failure is possible to be detected. There might be some fissures which develop with the age of the machine, age of the engine. But sitting on a table with a computer in your hand, you can't assess it till you plug the computer in to find out the system. The diagnostics has to be done. But here first the assessment would be done and then the inspection would be held. That doesn't appeal. As a matter of fact, the aviation experts all over have condemned this system. And they are all, as a matter of fact, been saying all the time that the present ICAO rules should also be changed. They say that there should be a combination of the time and the miles flown to determine when the mechanical inspection should be held. And that makes sense. A machine may not be flying and yet can develop some issues. So why not carry them out? You see, what happens is, this inspection does cost money. And in a bid to save money, they are playing with fire, playing with the lives of the people. And that's not done, that's not condonable. If I look at the statistics, I find that more than 20% of the air crashes take place because of mechanical failure. And that mechanical failure is despite the mandatory checks, despite the mandatory maintenance. Now, these new rules do not say that the maintenance would not be carried out. They are very clear that the maintenance would be kept on. It shall be both time-based, it shall be based on the flights. But maintenance by itself is not sufficient. Diagnosis is also sufficient. Maintenance is you look at it, you remove that which is visible. Many times defects may not be visible until the complete diagnostic is done. And with a complex machinery and with a complete computerization, now most of the aircraft, rather 100% of the aircraft, major ones, are fly-by-wire. Fly-by-wire means that everything is practically computerized, and the moment the aeroplane takes off, then the autopilot takes over. And when, in case of emergency, the pilot comes up and takes over the manual control, then the human error possibility is there. Now, the longer distance is being flown by the auto system. This autopilot would not be able to take corrective steps at times of need. That's why the red light comes on and the pilot takes over. You see, howsoever competent a machine may be, still till today, artificial intelligence has not replaced human intelligence. It's quite possible it might happen in the next couple of years even. I'm not denying it. The way artificial intelligence is developing, it's quite possible we may not need it. But even if the artificial intelligence is there, it would not be able to correct the mechanical fault or the electrical fault while during flight. While during flight, this is a precondition that all the mechanical defects, electrical defects, or any other defects relating to maintenance or construction are taken care of before the flight takes. And this policy of the government, naturally it must have been approved by the Transport Authority, and the notification is by the Transport Authority, so naturally they have seen it and the minister has approved it. Now, I do not understand that only in a bid to save a few $1,000s per inspection, this vital rule was given a goodbye. The Guild of the Pilots has protested against it because their lives are also in danger. The airlines don't like it, except some small airlines, because they've got to pay for it. But the most important thing is, why should the government do it? They can increase in case it's not remunerative, what they can do is increase the fee they charge for the inspection. But the mandatory inspections of the aircraft are a must and must be carried out in time. Sometimes we are penny wise, pound foolish. Oh, no, I shouldn't say sometimes, many times. And the political considerations and the economic considerations override the human considerations. And that is why these rules are changed. I should not take that up because that's a different topic, but that relates to the safety. Do you know in Canada, 138,000 patients every year suffer from the failure of machines in the hospitals. In the hospital, something happens, not because of the doctor's fault, but because of the machine's fault. The pacemaker might fail, the ventilator might fail, the system that has been used, the lung machine might fail, the heart machine might fail, and so on. X-rays have contributed 58% to the fatalities in the hospitals. And now again the question comes, if the inspections were being held, then those fatalities may not have been avoided absolutely, but their percentage, their number could have come down drastically, appreciably. And that's why, the old proverbs, a stitch in time saves nine. Safety saves. Better be safe than be sorry. all these proverbs, all these adages are because of that. The human consideration must be more important than the economic consideration. But unfortunately, it's not so. Normally, we have been saying that we are very careful about the machines and we are not careful about our bodies. But here we find that we are not careful either about our bodies or about our machines. Especially those machines which a hair breadth difference can cause this life to be terminated. And not one life. When an air crash takes place, it's hundreds of lives. You cannot avoid terrorism threats. You cannot avoid sabotage. You can reduce them, but cannot avoid them absolutely. You can also reduce pilot error, human error, definitely. But you can definitely avoid mechanical failures. That is one area where, as I said, 20% accidents are because of that. Those 20% can be avoided. If there are 3,689 accidents in a year and you avoid 20%, that's 600 accidents almost, a bit more than 600 accidents can be avoided. Is that not worthwhile? Those lives saved, or they not worth the expenses that will be incurred on those inspections? I'm talking today of the air inspection, while the same holds true for the inspections in every sector. As I said, in hospitals, 138,000 lives are lost because of these failures. Why? That's a major question which faces us. Why have become so lexical and so immune to the impending death that we don't care even to take certain preventive steps? Why have become those so desensitized to this human problem? Now, these are the issues which have to be tackled by the government. And the government has to be responsive to the needs of the society and to the community and to the country. And these needs say that first, human life is of paramount importance. Then comes the quality of life. And the quality of life includes health, education, safety. Safety of life, limb, and property in that order. And when the preventive steps can enable, ensure, and protect life, limb, and property, why not take those preventive steps? Why rather the preventive steps which have been on the book are given a goodbye, and not because of carelessness, not because of negligence, but because of the executive fiat. The order is there, we change the system. Normally the system is changed for the betterment, not for worsening the situation. This doesn't appeal. This doesn't gel with any sensible way that you reduce the inspections for the sake of saving some dollars. I think there should be a public safety committee in the House of Commons. And that public safety committee should not only be of MPs, but it should also include experts from the areas. There should be subcommittees, as well as members of the public. The people who are really directly affected. The question can be that the people who are elected are representing them. Yes, they are. But let's not forget that the democratic system that prevails today in the world, they really don't represent the people, they represent the political parties. For them, it's not the interest of the people which is of paramount importance, it is the interest of political parties which is of paramount importance. And that has to be taken care of. It is not the parties which are important, it's the people who are important. It's the people who make the country, it's the people who make a nation, not the parties. Parties, as long as they are dedicated to the service of the nation, are great. As long as they are solidifying the amorphous will of the people, fine, there is no issue. But when they are more concerned with wielding power, earning money for themselves or for their associates, then that is not the way things would happen. Then that's not the way we expect the political parties to function. And that is why these committees should have direct representatives of the people who have no axe to grind. We need a definitive system, a watchdog sort of a thing. And then another thing, such actions when they are taken must be assessed and discussed threadbare. Just an executive order being issued by the ministry saying that these tests would not be conducted is not sufficient. People are not even aware of that. If people were aware, you can be sure there would have been a lot of resentment and lot of protests. But the executive orders, by and large, are not known to the people. And since they are not known to the people, they are not able to protest, and the government takes the plea, well, it was informed to the people. This is not done. This is not being fair to the people. Let the government realize its responsibility to the nation and let it take steps to ensure that the life, limb, liberty, and the property of the citizens of this country would never, under any circumstance, especially for the monetary benefits, would be put in jeopardy. That is not acceptable to the people, either from the national point of view or from the human point of view. And the sooner the government realizes it, the better it would be. Better for them, better for the country, better for you, better for me. Thank you.